meeting of the Facilities and Finance Audit Committee to order. Revisions of the 2021 annual appropriations in support of the branch refresh at Anderson. The ATLA organization recommends that the library board appropriate $14,000 from the Anderson non-expendable trust fund to help offset the cost of the Anderson Township branch library project, specifically for expenses related to new quiet room. We're requesting approval of the following appropriations increase to account for this request. The expenses of $14,000, capital outlay increased by $14,000, increase in expenses $14,000. 2020 audit update. The audit is almost finished and library staff is working to complete comprehensive annual financial report. Currently, auditors expect to issue a clean opinion and clean GAGAS opinion, and there are no management letter comments. The auditors will still send out a draft opinion, GAGAS opinion, to each board member, and this opinion will include the option to request a meeting within 5 days of receiving the mail. The board may waive the post-audit meeting at their discretion. I have a question. Every year we do an audit and it's clean. How much time does it take for us to do the audit, prepare the audit?
It's the state auditors that actually do the audit, but to prepare the audit and a comprehensive annual financial report, it's a fair investment in time. Alicia Sanders, she is our financial analyst supervisor over here in the fiscal office and the deputy fiscal officer. She's the one that spends most of the time doing it. There are a few other people involved. It's a fair amount of time. And this year, because we did receive a lot of grant funding that was federal dollars, there was another level of audit that was involved. So it is a lot of time, but I think it's a necessary thing to do. And the first time you don't, go that far, I think that you may run into issues, but I will say we are required to do it. I mean, the state auditor is going to come in and do it. But I do want to say that as far as waiving the post audit, if that's something the board wants to do, then in the committee to the board report, I'll word it such that we can vote on that as action, unless you want to have a meeting.
I don't think we need a meeting.
Okay. Yeah. If there was an issue, yeah, we'd have one. So. Okay, thank you.
We go to a meeting, they say, hey, you did things great. All right, let's move on. Walnut Hills branch accessibility. Demolition of the existing building is complete and excavation for the addition is underway. As anticipated, foundations and other debris were uncovered, resulting in change orders to remove the impacted soil, with the potential for additional changes to bring in more soil. Based on this type of construction, the original Walnut Hills building, we have also discovered uneven flooring in the basement. This means that additional floor leveling is needed. These dollars are accounted for by the owner contingency and will still be within the overall $12.3 million project budget. Following change orders increase the GMP, which have been approved and submitted for confirmation. They're all for mega construction, number 2, 3, and 4. Removal of unused foundations, 87,000, and I'm not going to give you the dollars and cents. It's going to round it off, 87,300. Removal of buried foundations, 831,000. Correct lower level slab elevation, 30,300. Okay, now are those, somebody check, are those in line with the work that has to be done?
Yes, we feel that it's in line, and we know that we're probably going to have a few more similar to that, but we do have room in the contingency because we knew there were going to be some issues in that parcel that we bought that there used to be an apartment building on.
Okay.
And I will also say that I was out there and talked to everybody on site from Megan Construction as well as our own capital projects manager. And they all said, boy, we really like the way this dirt is much better for us. So I do think it has actually moved the project along quite a bit.
Good. All right, Forest Park branch replacement. The library is continuing to work on the land acquisition of future Forest Park branch. Working with our realtor and legal counsel, we have submitted the initial letter of intent to purchase land across the street from the library. which will be submitted for board approval pending negotiating terms. The property has previously been a recreation facility which included a swimming pool. The pool was demolished, unfortunately, and the debris was buried on the property. Based on this and the topography of the property, we expect there to be some slight challenges, which is being considered as a component of LOI. We plan to employ construction manager risk level delivery model for this project and are seeking board approval for this purpose with the final decision. We will advertise for a design professional previously approved by the board in April 2021, which we have a better position on in this when we have a better position on in this property. Shame they did away with the pool. We could have used that. We could have had underwater reading.
Right. Is that the pool?
Yeah. All right, the 2022 capital maintenance project. The planning for the FMP included funding for ongoing maintenance and life cycle replacements in hopes of getting ahead of some of the urgent issues. Facilities team is working to complete the most critical issues. In the interest of time, we are proposing hiring a CMR to do so that we can obtain individual GMPs as project scopes are identified and any necessary design work is completed. We are requesting approval for the following design professional bid advertisement approval for the bid advertisement from a CMR.
Yeah, I don't have those in there yet because I wanted to see how everyone felt about this. This is a little different than we've done these kind of capital maintenance projects in the past, but because based on the list on the next page that's up there, it's a varied list with many different disciplines, and we just want to stay ahead of it because previously Northside had been on this list, and we want to just make sure that we're going to get these things wrapped up in a timely manner and we don't run into any major issues.
Do you need a motion on that right now?
Well, we will at the board meeting. We'll just write it in the report that goes to the full board as long as everyone is comfortable with that approach. And the reason it says 2022 on here, because that's when the work will probably actually start happening. If I may change the title, if we feel like we can actually get any of it done in 2021, but based on the timing of things, it'll be a little bit later, most likely.
Well, I would think that right now these libraries are thrilled to have some HVAC updates.
Yes. Yes.
Right now, and these look like they are very necessary.
Yeah, and Paula, I do have those pictures that we can show you. So we do have a lot of some issues with these older buildings, as you know, and any that were Carnegie's, and these do involve two that did get elevator additions. Pleasant Ridge as well as Avondale, and you can see here where there's some damage up at the top of the ceiling, and that's that we had replaced the roof, but all the interior damage was never rectified. And in some of these, there's some ongoing foundational issues, waterproofing that needs to happen, and then in many cases there's tuck pointing that needs to happen. So, and we just wanted to include some of these so you could get an idea. This here is at Avondale, and you'll know we just recently redid that, but the building was not waterproofed, and all of this repair work was never taken care of. And these are all things that just compound over time. And we've kind of just picked some of the worst case scenarios. That's the front of Avondale. That needs, a lot of repair work to keep that wall going. This is at Coreyville, and Coreyville had a major renovation in the early 1990s, but it was not necessarily waterproofed. So there's a lot of brickwork issues, and in that last picture, you can see the bathroom wall peeling off. And these are things that individually, they might not seem, so large, but we need to take care of them, and we just need to stop what we're doing and take care of these issues.
Well, if I worked there, I wouldn't be happy to be looking at that and knowing that other libraries are getting brand new, spiffy looking, interiors, not to mention our customers.
And it's not really, it's not really our best foot forward, is it?
Right.
When you're walking up and you're seeing bricks falling apart, that's not good. Not a good one.
Yeah, so that's why we're planning on taking a little different approach. In the past, these would either be lumped together and we would say we can only afford $3 million, do the first $3 million worth. So we plan to get an overall cost of these kind of prioritized. There is some work on the main library chiller that I have highlighted here. That work might be able to be deferred till 2024, which at 2024, I'll have better funding for it. So some of it's going to be where the funding comes in. We do have High Park listed here because that's been an ongoing issue with us. I have a feeling that High Park work might just be out of our budget range because we only have a certain amount of dollars earmarked for these types of things.
What
And
is
Hyde Park, for example, is the elevator. And some of you, if you attended some of the sessions we did, there was concern around the elevator. It's very small. So Molly and I were just talking about that. It's not really a question of refurbishing it. Like we have to try and figure out how to make the elevator itself larger. And Molly, the other thing that you mentioned to me, and I maybe, if you can expound on this at all, the method of doing it this way, we hope, will provide a little bit more expertise around some of these issues that we are dealing with. So the method we're recommending that's a little bit different, it's a different approach, but we do hope that it will provide us the opportunity to work with some different folks who do this kind of work in a different way rather than these large packages of just do what you can.
Of just bidding them out and taking the lowest bid. Whereas if we do it under the CMR, they might actually be able to kind of help us, recommend ways to do it. We've already feel like we've seen a little bit of the benefit of the CMR, both at Walnut Hills and certainly at the main library project. So it is a little different, and it might be that we start some of these, and then as funding becomes available a little bit later on in the FMP process, we can keep that person in place and then do more of the work. The one I don't have listed in here, and Paula, you and I really haven't talked about this one, but one of the ones we have later scheduled in the FMP, and it might have been 2023 maybe, or 2022, is the work at Sims. And we could certainly, because a lot of that is some site work and then a little bit of a refresh. And that would be one we might also be able to move into this category as well.
Mr. Hendon, I think you had other question or comments. Sorry, we have a lot of going on.
What is CMR? Construction
Manager at risk.
Oh, okay, fine. I got it now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll go to the main library project update. The board approved the maximum GMP for the skylight replacement at the February 2021 board meeting, inclusive of CMR fee and CMR contingency equal to or less than $2,580,000, with a total project estimate of $3.1 million. The actual GMP is $2,359,102, and the project budget remains at $3,100,000 in order to maintain a conservative owner contingency. The elevator and skylight projects are expected to start in the next 30 days. During the summer, we plan to continue south building service, the 1950s building, as well as service in the north building. In anticipation of disruption and scaffolding, we intend to keep activity in the 1980s building to a minimum. We will monitor the impact on service along with the schedule of work and report in August on the future of the delivery of service. We consider ourselves fortunate to have two buildings which will provide us with the opportunity to maintain continuity of service. The design team is continuing work on schematic design for the overall project. We're currently planning for two bid packages with the following timelines. The North Plaza cost estimate and design review of 7/9/21, GMP approved 8/10/2021, construction 8/15 through 11/15/2021. Demolition of the South Plaza and mezzanine, cost estimate 9/3/2011 or 2011, GMP approval 10/12/2021, construction 11/19/2021. We continue to investigate the options for relocating of the book fountain. The fountain is actually a tiled, built-in structure, so it's not easy to be moved from the current location. Library is considering several options and evaluating the best location to move it.
Paula, do you want to talk for 1 second about your work coming up around the North Plaza and the June 4th meeting you're having?
Sure. Just so everyone is aware, we are trying to increase awareness that this is happening. And we've been talking about, of course, with the board, but we feel like with the pandemic and all the disruptions, we need to do some work with the stakeholders in the area, as well as the general community. So we'll be doing that. And coming up, as Molly mentioned, in early June, we're actually talking to some stakeholders, some that are co-located here, but also those out in the county who manage outdoor spaces. So Representative Great Parks, as well as City Parks, will be there. We're talking with people who may help us really think through this area, artworks, how we might really make the outdoor space fit with the general aesthetic that's going on downtown and in the business district, and also raise awareness of what we're doing and gather some best practices for how to think through an outdoor space in this kind of an urban area. So that's going to kick that off. And then we do anticipate having our design folks come in, talk further with staff, and then figure out how we might also continue to raise awareness and gather input that is manageable as we're sort of mid-process here, but because of the pandemic, some of it has been disrupted. So we are going to try and get out there and make sure people are aware what's going on, the North Plaza in particular, and the South Building, and just make them understand that it is part of this larger construction project that we've been talking about for 3 years now.
Yeah, and the North Building will involve the walls coming down around the garden, which will be a big change for people. And we just need to make sure people are aware of that, so there's not a lot of shock when they see that happening.
Or that they don't think something else is going on, that they understand this is all a shift to improve the South Building. And as we note, the tower that exists in the North Building is really going to be the primary service point. And we're trying to activate that outdoor space that we can utilize that. And also, again, with the work on Court Street, we want to be part of that larger development and activation of these outdoor areas along the line.
Very good. All right, we'll move on to Price Hill Branch accessibility. Still working on the final closeout documentation with a few punch list items remaining. We received from lead notices from 2 subcontractors with Justin Contractor. We're working with the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office to prepare the appropriate responses according to the Ohio Revised Code. That library has really come to the front and as a star in our system. That really, I thought it was cool when the governor came down and passed out whatever he did, but that was good. All right, the Anderson Branch refresh update. The Anderson Branch refresh project is on schedule with completion expected in mid-June. The energy retrofit project, although the project is complete, we're still working through closing out documents, punch list items, and open change order with one contractor. As noted in the April 2021 board meeting, the library received a request from a contractor to meet with some concerns they related to the project. We met with them virtually on April the 8th. In response to their request, we have initiated a change order review with JS Held, and on April 14th, 2021, received a formal request for mediation from a law firm on behalf of the contractor. Results of the review by JS Held substantiated the position of the engineer on the project. There's no basis for a change order. The Hamilton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office is preparing a response to a formal mediation request, and the library is sending the contractor a letter summarizing these items.
And Mr. Hendon, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to note that Mr. Olson has joined us. So hello, Mr. Olson. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
It sounds
All right.
like there's, going back to this process, it sounds like when a contractor or someone else causes there to be a change order review and mediation, that happens a lot. We're going to have a lot of delay. Not that it should happen that way. It's just remarkable how many procedures are in place to make sure that everything is done properly and fairly.
We agree. Fortunately, this project is
won this time, huh?
well, yeah, but this project is done, and this all came to us well after the project was done, which is part of the problem. So, yeah.
All right, now we'll move on to North Side Branch emergency maintenance work. At the April 2021 meeting, the board waived public bidding for urgent necessary repairs needed for the North Side Branch. Below is a summary of the contracts for this project. All right, we got North Side Branch purchase orders. Ambus Roofing for roof repairs, $33,043. American Facade Restoration Masonry Repair, $32,200. EnviroWorks Services for abatement, $9,225. Flannery Painting Incorporated for interior painting, $10,300. And Valley Interior Systems for interior plaster repair, $19,227, for a total of $103,995. The owner contingency of $25,000. So the expected repair cost is $128,995. Work is expected to be completed by late June, and the branch will open shortly thereafter. Next item, the Marymount Exterior Courtyard Project. During the pandemic, the need for usable outdoor space has become a priority for the continuation of quality library service. We're fortunate that a generous donor has made a recurring donation of the foundation to benefit the Marymount branch. With the anticipated proceeds as a funding source, the library is finalizing the design to put a glass roof over the exterior courtyard at Marymount. This project will also include an accessibility ramp. The project will be bid in June, with work commencing shortly thereafter. The project is expected to be completed by the end of 2021. The contract is expected to be confirmed at the August 2021 board meeting. And
I just will note before we conclude here, the Marymount, that project is almost verbatim what we heard at the Marymount input session that they wanted. So I know when we had the Madisonville engagement session, Judge Allen, you noted, that we were doing things in response to what we'd heard. So I do want to note that when we talked to Marymount, a number of people who attended that session said, hey, what if you could just, and this was before the pandemic, what if you could put that great courtyard under roof and kind of make it part of the building in a new way? So I'm really excited by this. It's great to have a funder engaged, and it's also great because I do think they'll be able to see their input rather directly here when we do this project as well.
Good. All right, that concludes our report. Is there anything else for discussion?
I will note, as just an FYI, it's not facilities related, but I did have the opportunity to talk with someone from Channel 12 today about the library's funding and the state funding. We had a nice session over at West End. I spoke with him. He also spoke with our sort of rock star branch manager over there, Heat Parks. So he promised us it would be on tonight at 6:15. We're just trying to raise awareness that, the PLF fund exists. If it is not put up to the percentage we're asking folks, it would be maybe, $1 million loss here for us. So we don't want to see that happen, because Molly noted the Anderson work that we did. That kind of project fits well within a several $100,000 funding source, and that kind of project is something we obviously need to do. You saw the pictures, so a loss of $1 million would really impact some of these things we're trying to do. So just to keep awareness there, we keep meeting with the legislators and raising awareness, but we have had some appreciated media attention around that as well.
Very good.
That's all I have. Thanks, Mr. Hendon.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.